Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into one of the most powerful and, let's be honest, paradoxical symbols in all of human history, the Christian cross. I mean, it's an image of state-sponsored torture that somehow became a symbol of hope. How on earth did that happen?
It's a really stark image when you stop and think about it. The main symbol for a massive global religion is literally an instrument of brutal public execution. And that brings up a huge question. If the cross is the answer, what exactly was the problem it was supposed to solve? Well, the answer to that question splits into two completely different paths. For centuries, theologians and thinkers have debated what the core problem actually was, and their answers paint two totally different pictures of God and of us.
So which one is it? Are we talking about a cosmic legal issue, like a debt that's owed to an offended God? Or is the problem something much closer to home, a deeply human cycle of violence that we just can't seem to escape on our own? The path you choose here really changes the entire meaning of the story.
Now, in the Western world, the legal model has been the dominant story for a very long time. You can think of it like a cosmic courtroom. Humanity broke a divine law, and now a debt has to be paid to restore God's honor and balance the scales of justice. This framework has shaped, well, just about everything, from art to our legal systems.
But what if that courtroom is the wrong metaphor entirely? What if the real drama isn't happening in some heavenly court, but right here on earth, hidden in the patterns of human society?
Theologian René Girard argued that our cultures are actually built on this hidden engine of violence. He called it the scapegoat mechanism. Here's how it works. When a group is in crisis, we instinctively find someone to blame, we pour all our collective anger and frustration onto them, and then, by getting rid of them, we create this temporary fragile peace. And here's the really scary part. This whole thing happens unconsciously. We don't even realize we're doing it. It all starts with rivalry. We want what other people have. This creates tension, chaos. To end the chaos, the group just instinctively unites against one person or group. And once they're gone, the new feeling of peace convinces everyone that their violence was justified, maybe even holy. Okay, this is where Girard makes his most explosive claim. He says that pretty much all ancient myths are propaganda for the mob. They're stories told from the perspective of the crowd to justify their violence. But the Gospels do something completely new. They tell the story from the victim's point of view, insisting over and over that he was innocent. For the very first time, the scapegoat mechanism is dragged out into the light and exposed for the lie that it is. So, in this view, the cross isn't God demanding a violent payment. No, it's the exact opposite. It's humanity, in all our religious and political fury, throwing the absolute worst we have at God. And what's God's response? It isn't to strike back. It's to absorb all of it and return only forgiveness, shattering that endless cycle of violence. But exposing our own violence is only half the story. If the cross reveals something about us, what does it reveal about God? Well, the theologian Jürgen Moltmann argues that the cross wasn't just something that happened to God. It was an event that happened inside the very being of God. This idea just completely shatters that old image of a distant, unfeeling God who is immune to pain. Moltmann's point is so powerful. A God who cannot suffer is a God who cannot love. The cross then becomes the ultimate sign that God doesn't just watch our pain from a safe distance, he enters right into the heart of it. For Moltmann, the crucifixion is an event that involves the entire Trinity. It's not just the Son suffering. On the cross, as the Son experiences abandonment, the Father simultaneously experiences the profound grief of losing the Son. The suffering is shared. It's a deep, internal event within the very nature of God. And that cry from the cross, that's the climax of it all. It isn't a sign that the Trinity is broken, but actually a sign of its deepest love. God enters into the most profound human agony there is, the feeling of being utterly alone, to show us that there is no place of suffering so dark that God isn't also there. So, when you bring these two powerful ideas together, the cross as an unmasking of our violence, and the cross as this deep, loving event inside God, what you get is a picture that's way less about a legal transaction and much more about a profound revelation.
This table just lays out the contrast so clearly. Is God an angry judge or a loving physician? Is our biggest problem a crime that needs punishment, or is it more like a sickness that needs healing? This totally shifts what we need most. It's not about getting a legal pardon anymore, but about restoring our trust in a God we can actually love, instead of fear.
So in this restorative view, the cross is this amazing, multi-layered event. It's a victory over the forces of evil. It's a massive revelation of who we are and who God truly is. It's a moment of deep healing for our broken picture of God. And at the end of the day, it's all about reconciliation. God himself taking the first step to bring us home. This quote just nails it. It perfectly captures the shift in thinking. The big transformation on the cross didn't happen in God. It happened in us. It wasn't about trying to appease an angry deity. It was about changing our own perception of him, breaking down our fear and hostility so we could finally see his true character. Okay, so we've waded through some deep theological waters here. But why does any of this matter? Well, it matters because the way we understand the cross has profound real-world implications for how we live and how we treat other people. Here's the simple truth. We become like the God we worship. A God who uses violence to achieve his goals can be, and has been, used to justify our own violence, both personally and politically. But a God who overcomes evil through self-sacrificial love, well, that presents a radical challenge to our entire way of life. And that leaves us with a final and pretty unsettling question. If René Girard is right, and our cultures are still built on the foundation of the scapegoat, then the cross forces us to look around and ask, who are our victims today? What injustices are our economies, our politics, and our sense of social peace really built on? The cross doesn't just ask us to believe something. It demands that we see the world and its victims in a completely new light.